I'm Mike Dobrota, and this is TerraQuip Talk. After years of providing drilling equipment solutions, I know that a project success hinges on reliable, high-quality rigs that meet your needs. So if you're ready to make smarter equipment decisions and build stronger foundations, let's get started. Hi everyone, welcome back to another episode of TerraQuip Talk. My name is Mike Dobrota, and I'm your host. Now, for those of you that know me, you know that I'm someone that's very data-driven, very technology-oriented. I love technology for my marketing department, for my servicing, for my spare parts, in general, to manage the business, right? So, although the rigs that I'm selling, I have to say this, right? The rigs that I'm selling, I'm promoting, are actually on the simple side, right? I like the machines to be as simple as possible with not many electronics, softwares, and things like that. However, when it comes to business, to managing the business, I'm all for technology, all right? And today, it's going to be something very, very different. I feel like I'm saying today is going to be something very different in every single episode, but it is. In all honesty, it is. Okay, so my next guest, his name is Sam. Sam, welcome.
Thank you, sir.
Welcome to TerraQuip Talk.
Thanks for having me.
Can you please introduce yourself? Let's shed some light of what this difference is going to look like today.
For sure. Yeah. So my name's Sam. I'm from a company called ClickRoad.
Yeah.
And what we do is quite a unique service. We sort of see, I guess, ourselves as a full service of business systems. So a lot of companies will just do one part. So they'll do a CRM system to, help you track, engage leads. They'll do just your marketing. They'll help with just automation, maybe some AI. We sort of come into businesses and try and look at it as a whole system and make everything run better together.
I was just going to say, our listeners are usually out on the rig, managing fleets or dealing with heavy machinery. And they might actually be wondering, what is an AI expert? What is a CRM automation expert doing here with us, right? From ClickRoad. And how do you help those business scale? Like you mentioned there, you just look at systems and you optimize and you help them scale. How do you actually do that?
For sure. So we find every business fundamentally is the same. They have to get leads coming in, someone to give them money. They have to have some kind of sales system that's going to take the money off the people. And then they have to have some business operations that are supporting the product or service that they're selling. So we look at those three stages of business as a whole and see where we can optimize that. And the biggest thing, as you said, the people you work with in the drilling rig industry, they're not in an office. They're out. They're doing jobs. They're on the rigs. And people are...
We're notoriously old school, man. We love clipboards. We love spreadsheets and whiteboards and all that sort of stuff, Like that's in the industry, in industrial businesses in general, right?
For sure. And I think that's where it really comes for me. We love working with you guys on this project because that's my background. I'm a mechanical engineer. Used to work in the oil and gas industry, and my job was efficiency. So doing big projects, trying to cut costs, finding efficiencies. And I sort of learned through there, you are out of the office a lot of the time. So then when it came to our own businesses that we run, we have 5 businesses that we run behind the scenes alongside ClickRoad. And that's where we developed all our systems. So, systems where someone sends an inquiry and AI reads it and gets back to them straight away, and it's personalized, sends a follow-up SMS. And people don't think it's AI. We get responses all the time saying, wow, that was so fast. That's amazing. It doesn't look like a robot. And that was our biggest win. Our conversion rate went up straight away. And we weren't stressed every day that we were spending, $1,000 a week on Google ads or something like that. But then we weren't in the office to reply to them, and our competitor was taking the business. So we know that if we're running Google ads, paying for leads, those leads are acknowledged immediately. There's no delay, and we beat all our competition to that.
Rather than paying for all the advertising and trying to get all the leads, but then nobody actually actions on those leads.
For sure. And then we saw that a big gap there. We work with a lot of trade service businesses. People are, the owners on the tools. They're not sitting in an office waiting for someone to send an inquiry. And if they have an office team, which a lot of them do, they're normally busy invoicing. They're doing other stuff. Not many people can afford to have a full-time receptionist. And so that's our big thing. We work with businesses is we try and, I guess, first of all, look at what's eating your net profit. So anyone on a pure admin sort of situation is trying to sort of see, can we automate that and put them into a revenue generating rather than having the receptionist, doing data entry. How can we make that person into a salesperson, follow up calls, make a relationship with people? So we try and automate a lot of the admin behind the scenes so that it frees up people to do actual, deliver the services and sell.
Yeah, no, that's fantastic. So the reason why I wanted to bring you here today is, well, there's several reasons, right? But mainly it's because, so I'll start a little bit with I'll give you the history behind, I guess, TerraQuip, what we've done at TerraQuip, and the whole AI development. So I think it was back in 2023, I told you in September, I went to the first seminar. I tried to go to all these seminars, to try to better myself, develop and learn new things and, about business and technology in general, right? As I said, I'm very pro technology. So I went to this AI seminar in September 2023. I had no idea what I'm getting myself into. I heard, I played a little bit with it and I said, yeah, it's nice for jokes and stuff like that. And I was like, yeah, it's pretty cool. But I didn't really think much of it.
Yeah.
Now, I came out of that seminar literally like Santa Claus high at Disneyland, so excited, right? I was like, oh my God, I'm going to do so many cool things at TerraQuip. I'm going to use all these tools. They're going to help us grow. They're going to help us in pretty much every single department. So cool, great.
Yeah.
Now what do we do?
Yeah.
We got all the excitement, right?
Yeah.
What's the next step?
Yeah.
So started researching, started trying to get consultants, because at the same time I'm running a business. I don't have time to look at all these tools and try every single, although I did, right? I invested so much money into it. I bought so many tools, so many subscriptions. Some of them I think they're still running. I really need to get through. Apparently there's an AI tool, by the way, that goes through your subscriptions to find the dead ones that are just like sucking money out of you without you even, acknowledging, because you've got like thousands of transactions. He's not going to, sometimes in a business, you don't have time to go through all of them, right?
Yeah.
So, as I said, I bought a lot of subscriptions. I bought a lot of tools. I looked into it, spent a lot of time. And the consultants that I was talking to, guys, please believe me, some of them were charging like $30,000 or something to implement not the whole system, just one small part of our system, right? Let's say, for example, servicing or the spare parts. And at the same time, that the money was not really just the money that was the problem, right? Just the 30 grand that they were trying to charge.
Yeah.
The problem was that they were kind of like trying to cover their bums and be like, oh, but we've never really done this before with this sort of industry. We're kind of like, we're kind of like discovering it together, Yeah. So I was like, in other words, I'm paying you guys for you to learn, right?
Yeah.
I was like, wow, that's a very expensive apprenticeship I'm running here at TerraQuip.
Yeah.
So I was like, no, I gotta find a different way. Went through a few different consultants. We ended up with a company actually from Sydney in the end. Company from, of course, I'm not gonna say their name, but let's just say that the whole experience was not very nice. In the end, they ended up paying us the deposit back because they were just stuck. They didn't understand.
Yeah.
They were just absolutely in the and I was like, man, what do we do? How are we gonna do this? How am I gonna I know there's the technology out there, but it's not really suitable for what we do.
Yeah.
It's not suitable for our department, for our industry, especially for the drilling industry.
Yeah.
Because one thing with us, and I told you this many times, when you went for our meetings, a lot of the things with us was that you have to have the human factor.
For sure. Yeah.
Right? You gotta, there's gotta be someone overseeing, and we always get questions from people that no one has ever asked before. Because you sort of go like, why isn't this in your documentation? Well, nobody asked us for. That's why it is not. So you got to go back to the Italians and then, try to polish it a little bit. It's not just simply sending an email. That's just one example. There can be many, many situations. There's so many issues arising. But like I said to you, I said, Sam, let's get started somewhere.
Yeah.
Let's build a foundation.
Yeah.
Right. And then as we go, we can add, different AI tools to do this bit, to do that bit, but first we need to have the foundation. And when I'm saying just the foundation, it wasn't easy by any means.
Yeah.
It was a lot of work, right? So run us through a little bit what you've done for us at TerraQuip.
For sure. So what we do with you guys is, it was, I guess, custom for you guys. That's our real specialty at Click Road. We find too many other businesses kind of somewhat doing what we're doing, but we haven't really found any that sort of offer the full service like we do, and that they actually care about what you're selling and want to understand the product and your staff. We met Rashmi, we met you, we spent a lot of time with you just learning how you guys do business. But we sort of feel that you need to adapt it to how you guys do business. So
Sorry, 1 second. When he says we spend a lot of time with you guys to learn how you do business, he actually does mean it. He was there with his colleague coming and shadowing us, right? Shadowing me, shadowing Rashmi. He spent there the hours in our office physically. He was traveling from Central Coast to Central Coast. Yeah. So yeah, I just wanted to clarify, because that was very impressive as well.
So a lot of other companies in that sense, and not to put them down, it's just, I think, because our foundation story is that our first business was not Click Road. Our first business was an events business that is a national events business, and that has 1,000 automations behind the scenes. It uses mynet.com, and from that, we were just like, wow, we used to use spreadsheets, and we'd have 1 million copies of the spreadsheet, not know which is the latest. And then when we started employing staff, spreadsheets were chaos. It just got to be crazy. So we sort of ended up building a whole system designed for us with mynet.com and supported by Zapier for the automation. So it was the same with you guys. It was about checking out how you guys do business and then building out that platform to replicate what you guys are doing day to day, not changing any processes, not saying like, hey, you can automate this, but now to send a quote, this is how you do it. It was like, all right, how does Rashmi send a quote? Let's build a system that supports her and takes out the manual data entry and wherever we can. That's what we built. So it was essentially, for yourself, was just a CRM, which is the customer relationship manager. End of the day, it's just for you to track what deals you've got in process at the time, when you lose them, when you win them, the values, how long it takes to close deals. And there's two big benefits of that, as you would have seen now. One is the data. If you're not following the data of how long it takes to close deals,
that's right.
Stuff like that. And with all the stuff that we have in our own businesses that we run, we know exactly that, someone inquires for an event on average 72 days before the event date, and they book it 62 days out. So we line up our whole CRM to attack them on that, in that 10 days of deciding period. We know that that's when to do it. And the other way to do that is with data from something like a CRM. So that was the first part for you guys. And then it was really to then support the quoting and the service side of things for the spare parts, which I think sent quite a labor-intensive process before, looking up a PDF, finding that, looking at the current exchange rate, margins, and then
because we buy everything in euro and we sell them in Australian dollar.
Yeah,
there's no point for me, to sell a part just because I paid $600 for it last year and then sell it with $700. Maybe that part is going to cost me just because of the exchange rate $800 today.
Sure.
So then I've made minus $100.
Yeah, exactly.
So that's so important. You got to go online, check the exchange rate, have a look how much it was. And then it's also this balancing act, because what happens is, say, for example, you have quoted the same client, and this is something very specific for our industry.
Yeah.
You quoted the same client, exactly the same part, let's say 12 or 24 months ago. Now it's a different part.
Yeah.
And he sort of goes like, what's this, But if I have that statistic in place and I say, look, you've sent this quote to this client on such and such a day, he didn't go for it, but this is how much you quoted. Now this is how much this price is. I can actually make a quick phone call to that client and be like, or send him an email and be like, hey, the price is going to be a little bit different this time.
Yeah.
Kind of like try to kill the monster while it's a baby.
For sure.
Rather than the client getting upset and getting his emotions up,
Yeah. And that's what we see with these systems, that by having everything there, it's all data. And whether it's the CRM, if someone calls you when your phone's ringing, you can see what client that is. You can quickly, before you answer it, open up their customer portal, see all their emails, see what you've quoted them, see how long you've been speaking to them for. And it sounds like you're their best friend straight away, because it's not like, who is this? Where are we at? I can't remember. Let me quickly look up my emails. Have I quoted you already? It's got one spot. It's all there. And it's the same for something much on a smaller scale but higher volume would be the servicing and the spare parts, is that, if we can automate, you don't have to look up the exchange rate every day. That's automatically pulled in. You don't have to calculate your margins. You don't have to see what's in stock. So that was another fundamental part, was making sure they had a stock inventory management system. So when you generate the quote, it'll automatically show you if it's in stock or not. So pretty much within 5 minutes of having your phone call from someone with a breakdown, you could have a quote in the inbox and tell them over the phone what's in stock.
Which is exactly one of the things that we wanted to tackle. If any of you guys have seen our company profile video on YouTube, this is the main thing that I'm saying. One of the main reasons why TerraQuip started is because I wanted to make a difference in terms of the promptness of the equipment that we provide and the spare parts and all this stuff. Because generally in our industry, things move a little bit slow. the amount of time I've heard people and the amount of time I got deals, I sold big rigs
Yeah.
because people were saying like, at least you answer to me.
Yeah.
Even if it's a 2 weeks late, delay or whatever, you keep in touch, or you communicate, So I wanted to create that promptness of equipment and bring it into our industry like it is, to buy something from Amazon. I mean, the reason why someone like Amazon is so successful is because they're available.
For sure.
So how do we do it, in an industry where number one is so expensive, there's just such heavy pieces of machinery, they take so long because they're coming from so far away.
Yeah. Yeah.
How do you speed that up? And one of the answers is with technology.
For sure.
Let's face it. And it's funny, you mentioned there a little bit earlier, data in general. And, we actually have been able to use this as a marketing tool, because a lot of the meetings that we've had, for those of you out there that had meetings with me in the last 6 months, you know that I'm very, very proud, and I show you every single time my CRM and my sales situation. And of course, without going too much into detail, but what I do is I show people like, let me show you how we manage our business, how we manage our sales. So we just pull out a dashboard where it gives us there the reason why we've lost deal, what's the average deal, how long the average deal takes to close.
Yeah.
From the lead, let's say, or from someone being interested. Because you see, in our industry and in what we do, we don't really have leads. Well, you can call them leads, but they're not really leads. They're potential deals,
Yeah.
right? Because we know our customers. 95% of the time, we know who the customer is going to be.
Yeah.
Right? Because we know them. We've worked with them. It's a very niche industry. There's not that many companies that just pop up and be like, oh, he's a new lead. Try to. They do, but not as many, right? So, from the moment that that's another thing that's just so particular about our industry and about what we do. So yeah, we've been able to show them, the reason why we've lost deals, how many deals we won, how many deals were in total for Australia. And I know this is something that's so interesting for so many people. And they go like, oh, really? Was it $55 million, over the last 12 months? And I'm like, yeah, it was, or obviously that's not like government data or anything. That's only what we have access to. Of course, there's some deals out there that are happening in the background I don't even know about.
Yeah.
In the same way that I get some deals that the other companies have no idea about. But the way it works for us is a client that we know very well just goes, Mike, I'm interested. I think I'm going to tackle this residential market. I need a small rig. And I go, okay, what size? What technology? Is it Kelly, CFA? So that for me, becomes a potential deal. I add him on the list.
Yeah.
But what I add there, I don't add my machine. I just add, he's interested in a 16-ton class machine.
Yeah.
That's good for Kelly and CFA. That's maybe European made or Chinese or whatever, or brand new or secondhand. And I add him in there. So then every time, once a week, I go through all of my potential deals and I see, okay, let's see where this is at. When did I speak to him last? And then I update that. That's kind of how it helps. Because Sam did ask me right before he came here, how do I find it? And I was like, I'll tell you all about it. Let's just start rolling first, So yeah, just by using it as I guess that's not the purpose, but just by using it as a marketing tool, we've impressed so many people with it,
I think it's all something
we impressed ourselves, but also the people around us.
Which is good. The technology is there these days. And a lot of people pretty much every client we work with now comes to us and they say, we know it can be done. We just didn't know who to talk to. And so we've really enjoyed
exactly
that.
Like me.
Yeah. Everyone says the same story, because it's not just about someone coming in and setting up Monday.com for you, because you could do that yourself. It's about someone coming in, understanding your business, and then actually, the build we do with you guys, about 90% of that is actually built in Zapier, who we're a partner with, which is the automation software behind the scenes. And even that,
we were going to talk about that. That would have been my next question on the list, but that's all right. We can tackle it now.
Yeah, honestly, that's
I was just about to talk about the adjacent, let's say, softwares.
Yeah,
because one of the first software that you work with, and I know a lot of you guys in our industry, think of something like Monday.com or Go High Level, whatever the hell, all this, CRM management tools. They think of them as just being for tech startups and things like that. No, and that's what I thought as well. And Moreover, I think it was about a year and a half ago, something like that. I even tried Monday.com myself.
Yeah.
I tried to implement it.
Yeah.
I got out of it in 15 minutes. I was like, this is a waste of time.
Yeah.
I asked for my money back, cancel the subscriptions
Yeah,
straight
yeah.
away.
Yeah.
And then Sam comes to me and goes like, we work with Monday.com. And I was like, no, we tried it. Remember I told you?
Yeah.
He's like, no, we tried it. It's not going to work. No, we need something else. We need something. He goes, Mike, we work as exclusive consultants for Monday.com and we can tailor this. They only offer a platform. It's like someone just saying like, no, I got the house. I don't need you. It's like, no. We'll do the platform and then the house on top of it the way you want it. It's not just a template.
Yeah. We've worked with so many people that have used Monday.com for years. I look in, I'm like, you're just paying $100 a month to use a spreadsheet now. You know, I'm like, it's not, I don't know, I understand you've missed the point of it kind of thing. But it's because I think Monday.com's good. They kind of sell the dream to you and you start using it and you're like, this is actually, you're running a business. It's not like we see a lot of people that have tried it. We've helped people set up Salesforce, HubSpot, Go High Level Partner too, and it's Monday.com.
All of the above tried.
Yeah. And we
all of the above.
And everyone tries it, and it's because they sell the dream that put this software in and it's fine. You'll change the life. But everyone we work with, it's never that easy. But half of it just comes down to time. I mean, you can learn anything between YouTube and ChatGPT. You could get there, but it's like you got a job to do. It's not your full-time job. So we found people.
And I run a podcast too.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So we found people just say, actually, Sam, can you guys just come in because we can pay you guys X amount and it can be running in like 2-3 weeks, then we're actually going to make more money anyway because you're going to then solve all our problems, cut all our stuff down, cut all our admin. Well, the money we're losing now, we're paying $100 a month at the moment and we're not using it. So we'd rather pay $100 a month and get value from it. So yeah, they kind of sell a bit of a dream. And then we love to just really get in the nitty gritty of how the business runs and then build it out to suit how you guys do business. Because people like Salesforce it's a bit of a powerhouse in the CRM world, but you kind of have to change your business to how Salesforce runs their CRM.
Correct.
Because Monday.com is like, we can tailor to how you guys want to do it.
Yeah, and that's fantastic. Now, going back to the adjacent tools that you have to use. So Sam is very good at, because you can't just use an automation tool and hope for the best because you still need to use your email. You're not going to change your email. You're still going to use the same email in the same database, right? Maybe using Google Docs, maybe using Gemini or whatever other tools. Hey, before we continue with our episode, I just want to say, if you're someone that shares our passion for drilling, you have experience and you want to tell your story right here at TerraQuip Talk, we would be more than happy to have you, even if you're someone from a company that doesn't use our equipment. Now back to the episode. Now, with Monday.com, what the Sam does and how he tailors how he did it for us is we actually had to communicate with our email address.
Yeah.
We had to communicate with initially, not anymore, with our field insights, which was our servicing reporting.
Yeah.
And you had to make all of this communication, right?
Xero
and also with Xero as well, right? So he mentioned earlier Zapier. This is actually one of the tools that we had to use to combine and make all of these tools communicate. And he actually wrote the code for all of that, that's getting a little bit deeper. Like, even if you're someone that invests the time, goes like, no, you know what, I'm okay for the next 3 months, I can look into this. It takes a lot of knowledge, guys, a lot of practice. It's full on coding. So
that's what we sort of found is that a lot of, even the system, I know you loved AI and we all love AI, but the system, when I think we rolled it out, I was like, I hate to tell you, but it's 99% code. Because actually, because a lot of the business, pretty much every phase one we roll out with any business is just automation. It's just get rid of the manual copying, pasting, the spreadsheets and stuff like that. And that's, taking your quote in Monday.com and putting it in Xero. That's not AI. As much as I would love it to just type a prompt and it magically does it, is actually running through some JavaScript code that we write within Zapier, and it doesn't hallucinate, because we've all had those times with ChatGPT, we ask it the same thing twice and it gives you this wrong answer. You can't afford to do that when you're invoicing someone. You can't have it forward to miss a zero or something like that.
Yeah.
So, but that's the real fundamental part, is a lot of times with Monday.com, you kind of get frustrated because of the automations that it has are very easy to use, but it's very, very limited. So by having, so we're a partner then also with Zapier. So we're one of the main partners for Australia now. And we can just really make it do anything. So we can make it talk to any software you can imagine. we can make, and then we can add AI in the middle. We can do really cool stuff with it. And we can send SMSs. We can do anything you want.
Connected through WhatsApp as well. There's
Yeah.
a lot of people, they run their businesses of WhatsApp,
Yeah.
including us sometimes, right? Now, I'm just going to share with you guys a bit of statistics here regarding AI and jobs and what the Global Economic Forum, for example, reports and Goldman Sachs. They've done all these studies and they report that 92 million of jobs are estimated to be displaced by 2030. That's just because of AI, right? Another statistic says that 40% of global jobs, and this is by IMF, the report says that 40% of all jobs worldwide have some level of exposure. Now, there are other agencies that says that no, it's actually close to 60%. And by the time that you add all of that in the advanced economy, it actually means close to like 70%, right?
Yeah.
So we're talking something like absolutely
It's like the industrial revolution.
just mind-blowing, right? I mean, you look at what happened in Australia here with I don't know if we can say the business name. I think it was Afterpay, or
Yeah.
they just sacked how many people? Like something like half of the workforce, like 2,000 people or something. Which is incredible. They have, I think, Westpac and Commonwealth also. They announced they're gonna sack 300 people.
Yeah.
That's just incredible, right? Like it's scary stuff. It's
sure.
scary stuff, and as a business owner, you got to make sure that you're not reactive. You got to be proactive with that, right? And that's the reason why, I mean, generally we talk about drilling here, I know, but that's the reason why I wanted to bring Sam here, because I have tried for so many, well, pretty much years, for a couple of years, and so many tools, and I put so much money and energy into making our business more efficient. And until I met him, I actually couldn't do it. And as he was going through all the stages that, we planned, and things were looking good, and I was like, oh my God, we're finally doing it, right?
Yeah.
We're finally there. Like it's something, it's happening. I was like, Sam, I'm gonna bring you into my podcast and talk about this stuff. And at that time he thought I'm joking, but
Here we are.
I don't joke that much. So I actually want us to play this video, because it's something very fun that even you didn't see it, remember?
If it is the Monday one.
The Monday.com, yeah? Let's watch this.
We're implementing AI.
We've been using AI for ages.
Yeah.
Well,
AI had the time of my life. AI never felt this way before.
Did it just create the project, timeline, and set the meetings?
And I owe it all to you.
AI you'll love to use.
That's pretty funny, isn't it? Right? That's a really good one. So, yeah, it better work this time.
Yeah.
Well, it did. For us, it did. And I'm so proud of what we achieved. I'm so happy with what Sam has done for us. That's why I wanted to bring him on. And because we've already done the legwork, any of you guys from our industry, that wants to work with someone like Sam and wants to make things more efficient, just give him a call. He's pretty good at that. Now, if I'm a business owner, at least I know I would, right? Because if I'm a business owner, especially running in Australia, like the PAYG, the salaries, the tax, all this stuff, if I'm not going to make the changes now, I'm not going to be relevant. I'm not going to be feasible. My business is not going to be feasible in the future if my competitors are doing this, right?
Yeah.
And they can run with like 30% of the stuff, and I have to run with, 100% of the stuff. Automatically, I'm putting myself, in a bad position, right? Now, it's not all doom and gloom. I want to give you guys some statistics. They reckon AI has successfully cut already about 10 million hours of time Australians spent, just Australians, on hold with customer service last year. This is from last 12 months, right? Now, despite the efficiency, 46% of Australians reported they are concerned that the automation leading to let's say, the lack of human connection. What do you think? What would you say to someone like that?
For sure. I think that's the most interesting part that we have seen firsthand. So in our events business, where it has over 1,000 automations, heaps of AI, the craziest Monday.com setup I've ever seen, we had to hire more staff, which seemed crazy, because Responses were instant. Our Google ads were running better. We doubled down. We ended up seeing more on ads. And the first year alone, after rolling all that out, we were up revenue 40%. And what actually happened, we realized why. We used to have staff nonstop copying and pasting stuff into spreadsheets for a database, following up people, texting them. Once we had got rid of all that stuff, every time someone called or someone sent an inquiry with us, the sales team were on the phone straight away with them, talking about it. They had all their customer information in our CRM ready. They would have a chat with them, personalize the event, and actually put a human touch on it. And then if they wanted to, hey, can you guys do this? Can you do that for us? We used to be overwhelmed with admin. They would be like, no, you can't go outside this scope. We're busy enough as it is. I don't need this. Whereas now they're not doing any meaningless tasks of copy, paste and stuff like that. They're actually on the phone. So one, they're just getting personal connections. They're selling better to the clients because, that client's already got, within 5 minutes, they've got an automatic email reply. They've got a follow-up SMS and a phone call. So we've got 3 touch points to them within about 5 or 10 minutes. And we've actually made it so much more personal because we've used AI on the back end. The last thing we ever do for businesses, once everything like that is done, then we'll look at the front end stuff, maybe an AI receptionist or something like that. Only really for places that are high volume, maybe like a doctor's surgery or something like that. They're booking out anyway. They don't really care too much about customer service. It's like, we just need to automate something. Yeah. Whereas for smaller businesses, especially high value, the drill rigs you sell aren't cheap. We would advocate against using an AI receptionist for you guys, whereas, plumbers and stuff like that, we'll automate all your other stuff, but, Jimmy being on the phone talking about how good he is at plumbing and then he'll be there in 5 minutes will close more deals than a robot ever will. So we actively in-house, how we roll it out with companies is nothing that will ever be detrimental to the human touch. It always amplifies it to give people more time.
I think the same. I'm very optimistic about this whole thing. And, they talk about all this craziness, that the AI is going to take over the world and destroy it, that we're in grave danger and all this stuff. I think is like the smart people that actually work with this and benefit from this, they use this at advertising. They use this to attract attention.
Yeah. Yeah.
AI, I don't think AI has any interest to destroy us.
No.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, if there is a tool that, let's say, grows in a negative way, there's also going to be an AI tool that's going to grow in a positive way, I reckon they're just going to fight each other, right? Yeah. And the good will triumph, right? Yeah. Now, speaking of the good will triumph, back to the positive statistics, they reckon by 2030, because of the AI, yes, there are a lot of layoffs, but there are also a lot of job created. They reckon about 1 million. They estimate by 2030, so the next 4 years.
Yeah.
AI specialists.
For sure.
And the people that work already in AI, they're already seeing, compared to last year, a 40% increase in their wages. Isn't that crazy?
For sure. And I think I
didn't get a 40% increase in my salary, did you?
No, we didn't put ours up at all. But I think the interesting part of it is that it's a bit of a strange industry. We find that even for other people kind of in the industry with us, they often go way too crazy, like if you contacted someone, maybe as you said, we can roll out a crazy AI system that'll do everything for you, but it'll take them 2 years to develop. It'll hallucinate like crazy and doesn't achieve anything. Whereas for us, I feel like the biggest wins for 99% of business is in automation with a sprinkle of AI in it, because, most people are still doing spreadsheets, whiteboards, clipboards.
100%.
You can't.
I'd say 90% of our industry, yeah.
For sure. And I think that's where you actually just, and for me, even like my wife used to always laugh at me. With our events business, I would print out paper, I would have a diary and a whiteboard. I didn't use any technology. And to now be where we are, where we help other people, I think that's something that helps people work with us, because I actually don't like technology. I actually prefer to be switched off. Like I don't have Instagram, I don't do anything. So for me, it's just a tool to make business run more efficiently with the system and takes the stress off me. One, I don't think, oh my gosh, I'm spending $1,000 a week on ads. I got to quickly stay up till midnight to reply to all the inquiries. And then even for me with the CRM, you can open up and, if you think, oh, it's a bit slow this month, like you said before, open up, hey, I've got like $5 million worth of deals on the go. maybe it's all right. Let's take some phone calls. You know, whereas if you didn't have that before, they were lost in your inbox somewhere on a piece of
100%,
paper.
yeah.
You actually get a bit more stress as a business owner. With the systems, you can log in. I mean, for our events business, it's like, all right, we've got 100 inquiries last week. No one's booked in this week, but we sent 100 quotes last week. Next week, they're going to come back to us. Like, calm down. Yeah. And I think as a business owner, you kind of do spend a lot of time like running around like that.
Now, going back to a few more positive statistics, they reckon just in Australia, the estimated annual boost to the Australian economy alone by 2030, if AI is fully adopted, is going to be 142 billion.
Yeah, well,
because of the efficiencies created and elimination of all this, let's say, just boring tasks, simple tasks.
Yeah.
They also reckon that in general, in Australia, because of the AI, if the AI adoption continues at this level, we're going to have a 7% wage growth because, again, across the industry, because of the efficiencies created, right? Now, I don't know how they make this statistics, right?
Yeah.
I just looked it up online and I found this, with the IMF, with the Australian Bureau of Statistics, with Global Economic Forum, right? But I think there's also opportunities, and my brother actually works in AI. My brother worked with us for a couple of years.
Yeah.
He still does a few hours with us every now and then so he's kind of like part-time with us. But his main thing is now AI. He works for Gemini.
Cool.
And I keep asking him because he's a big supporter of AI. So I'm asking him, hey, what do you think? How do you think this is going to influence us? Do you think it's going to be positive? What about all these people that we're laying off? And he said, yeah, but with every single revolution, there's also opportunities created.
Yeah.
It's up to the people to reskill and redirect.
Yeah.
Speaking of redirection, and I got to give a shout out to my brother. He was working in IT for a while.
Yeah.
Then he did a full degree and master's and PhD in chemistry.
Yeah.
I think it's like a double major, like chemistry and inorganic. I to be honest, I don't even know. It's so complicated. I need a school just to pronounce his degree, right? And then he came and worked for us for a couple of years.
Yeah.
And now he's trying to get into AI.
Yeah.
Right?
Okay.
So I think there's a lot of positives to take from this, right?
For sure. Yeah. I think
Are you just as optimistic about the future?
I think because of most of the businesses, I mean, it's just like where I live on the Central Coast, I mean, there's not much AI going on up there. Like to even get a tradie to call you back you're lucky, So I still think, on the big businesses, like the banks and stuff, I think that's where the real danger is because they have somewhat unlimited money to invest in it. And it's not a very personal place to work. They don't really care if they lay off staff,
That's right, yeah.
Whereas for smaller businesses, I think it's just going to, like everywhere we see where they're invest the money in some systems to essentially replace a staff member you could never afford to hire anyway. Like if you wanted to have someone to just do data entry for you, you might do a virtual assistant offshore or something like that at minimum. But realistically, for you to stay competitive with pricing these days, you can't afford to have people like that. So this gets you able to sort of offer better pricing. And we saw it firsthand in our events business where our prices were much more expensive than everyone else. And we had more staff than everyone else. Everyone else is running from their bedroom at home. And we have an office, we had staff, we had overheads, we had a warehouse. So we thought, right, how do we compete with this? We need to increase the volume and we need to grow bigger. But how do we do that without taking on more overheads? And that was where the automation came in. And we've seen some big wins. I mean, we're working with at the moment with Zapier, purely Zapier system strapped onto a plumbing company's software. And they do 10,000 jobs a month.
So much like a sci-fi thing, like a plumbing business. We plugged in a Zapier system and it's like,
It's like Star Trek. But
it's true. But it's true. It is practical and it works.
And the biggest wins we see, I guess, are people who have no systems. That's an easy win. And you almost get there's not many things in business you can get a guaranteed return on investment. You're either doing the work yourself or you're just letting leads fall away. So it's like, all right, well, let's just fix that. Then the other side of things, this company does 10,000 jobs a month. If we can save them 5 minutes per job, that's $500,000 a year.
Jesus Christ.
And that's just
when you add up things, right? Like it's
And so that's the easiest thing. And for them, like we're not going to charge them that much money, but technically, that's the first year. Even if we charge $400,000 in the first year, they're still going to make $400,000 a year after that. I mean, the projects are a fraction of that cost, which is fantastic. But it just goes to show that the power of this stuff. And for them, even them, they've got 110 staff. It's not that they want to get rid of staff. They want to grow. And if they grow anymore, they need to get another office. And they need to then have another manager to manage the staff. They've got 35 full-time admin staff. So if they want to win another contract, they do really, really big stuff across the country. And they're like, we just can't physically have more staff. So how do we, they're actually not looking to cut money at all, but they're actually just looking to grow without having more staff, which is kind of, it's interesting to see how people might get laid off. The fear is that they're going to get laid off, but realistically, it's just allowing businesses to grow more efficiently, we've seen.
100%. And that's exactly what we notice as well. There's a few ways to look at it. Number one is, you want to stay feasible. You want to make sure that you still make sense in a few years from now, right? Or even next year by, considering how fast things move. The other thing is, what if you're just trying to grow without hiring more staff? So it's not about necessarily like maybe you are in a good place in the market like we were, right? But I was always looking to create more time for myself, for my people, and to be able to serve and better serve more clients, right? So it's definitely very, very beneficial, guys. And I gotta say, Sam, I'm very lucky that I met you at the point that I met you, because, and I really hope this doesn't apply to you. But what we noticed is we work with I'll give you an example, an air conditioning company, right? That we used to get for our rigs, so not for the office,
Okay.
but people that spot leaks and things like that for the air conditioning in our cabins, in our machines, right? So we don't have the gas, we don't have we need to get someone to work with. So we work with this network of like 50 suppliers, and we met a few years ago this guys. Of course, I'm not going to mention their names. They're fantastic. God bless them. They did such a good job for us. They were prompt. They stayed over time, went beyond and to help us and to make sure that they get the job done, because everything was against time. And they didn't charge us an arm and a leg. Right?
It's good business.
That was fantastic. That was years ago, right? It never it doesn't really happen for us to work multiple times a year with them. So 2 years went by or 3 years went by, and we had another issue. We had to get another machine, a brand new machine. We had to get it regassed because we had to use the evaporator for another client. So when we got the evaporator back, we had to regas it. So we called this company, and it was a totally different experience. It was like chalk and cheese. They didn't bother. Say like, we don't have availability. We'll get back to you. And I said, okay, can you please get back to me? You've done such a good job for me before. Yeah, we'll get back to you. They didn't get back to us. I called them again the next day. Hey, when can you come? Or at least can you recommend us someone? Oh yeah, we'll see about that. We can't recommend you anyone. Maybe we'll come on Friday. Then on Friday they did come. They didn't show up in time. They didn't have the right gas.
Okay.
And I was like, you've worked with us before. You know what we needed. And in the end, we ended up getting someone else. So they grew. They did amazing. But they didn't keep consistent.
Which is, to be honest, I think comes back to where we see that fall down is systems.
I hope that doesn't come, for you. I hope you maintain this level of high achievement that you've shown with us.
For sure. What we see that all the time. I mean, we sort of saw that in our own. I always come back to our own events business because we love that we have a real case study of systems we roll out. Like I used to always get approached by people who do your SEO for you. I'd be like, if you're that good at SEO, why don't you have 400 businesses? The whole point of business is to get leads.
It's like going to the gym and the PD trainer is like, it's chubby. I was like, why don't you apply that on you? Like, if you know that recipe, why can't you do that?
Like PT and marketing people are the two people that's like, I should be able to see firsthand that you're good at what you do.
Yeah. 100%.
And so for us, like we want to show people that we use these systems in our own other businesses. But I think that was the thing for us, is that we got to a point where in that business, we did start dropping the ball because we got really popular. I mean, we've got a national company. We had 50 contractors, 5 staff. We had 2 offices, warehouse, and we got some big contracts. We were suddenly supplying to 3 big event planning companies. Like we did Canva's Christmas party one year, like it was 1,200 people. We had New South Police approvals, all this stuff, like crazy scale stuff. But we kind of had a period there where we were still had paper and we still had whiteboards, and it was like, this is too much. Like, this is crazy. So we find that luckily you put in the systems now and then you can scale with that. But I feel like some people they're scared to invest money in their own business sometimes. And I think
100%. And it was a daunting process for me as well. I mean, I was pretty much ready to give up. I was like, someone will make it at some point. Maybe I'll find out about it, you know?
Yeah.
It's not easy. It's not easy, right?
For sure.
Because, I mean, unless you're someone with so much cash to spare, you know, and just ready to throw it down the drain, it's not a pleasant feeling, you know, and it's scary. And it's like, do I really want to take this risk? Do I really want to invest in this, you know?
Yeah.
What could I do with this money, you know, to, you know, maybe bring stock or spare parts or hire another technician or whatever, you know?
For sure.
So, yeah, it's definitely not an easy, but yeah.
I think it's where we've been very lucky in this business. We get brought into businesses of all sizes. And the most successful ones that we work with, the ones that are making like a shit ton of money, they always have two things. It's the fundamental two things. One, they spend money on marketing.
Yeah.
They're not scared to spend money.
Yeah.
The other one is they have a sales team. And then they have obviously the systems behind the scenes.
Are we one of those companies?
Yeah, for sure. We got this thing. Like it was never a lead problem for you guys. You guys had a problem, like people in the system. And then you're a great salesperson. You're friendly. You have relationships with clients. Like that's the stuff you almost can't teach in business. You know? So, but we saw the same thing. Then we work with someone, they get us in to go through their systems and we give them a proposal and they'd be like, no, that's not cheap, whatever. And it's like, well, you got 3 admin staff doing this already at the moment.
Yeah, that's not cheap either.
You're spending 180 grand on it already. And for, you know, $15,000, you can redirect all of those people to profit generating. But some people it was the businesses that we saw were struggling, were the ones that they were struggling because they didn't want to invest in the business. Happy to go on holidays or something like that, you know. But for me, I'm like, well, I can't go anywhere and spend $10 and get $100 guaranteed back. But in business, it's something that like once you work it out, you're like, well, this thing can actually make money. So all the businesses we work with have been really, really honored to. I mean, we're going behind the scenes of businesses, the finances. And
now, question: how many of them did ask you to come on a podcast?
None. They say,
guys. Unfortunately, we're running out of time. Thank you so much for taking the time, Sam, to come and explain. Again, thank you so much for what you've done for TerraQuip. We're only gonna continue to improve on that. I'm sure we're gonna do really well. Thanks to you and thanks to ClickRoad. So yeah, guys, if you're interested in something else and you should be interested, don't hesitate to contact Sam. For those of you that know me, just ask me for his number. I'll give you my details, but you can find him online very easily. That's not a problem. On the episode next week, I just want to let you know, in case you haven't seen, we had a Mark Newton, ex-CEO from Keller. Very interesting conversation. Go check out that video. That episode was last week. Now, the next week, what we're going to do, we're going to talk a little bit about, so obviously we're not getting into politics or anything like that. Don't jump at my throat. But we are going to discuss a little bit about how the conflict in the Middle East could actually influence our industry, right? So I know it's maybe it's not very nice to say, you know, because there's a lot grave, let's say, more serious implications out there, you know, with loss of human life and infrastructure and whatever, all, you know, destruction of the country. But if you're someone like me that works in the drilling industry, you can't not think about it, right? Because that's something that, you know, helps us put food on the table, right? So what I'm going to actually next week, I've done a lot of research and I spoke with a lot of people, and I want to talk about the factors that could impact, depending on how this conflict develops in the Middle East, how could that affect us and how that could affect, you know, like logistics, exchange rate, taking consideration all of those things, right? So please check out our episode next week. Until next time, please remember, if it's not turning, you're not earning. Thank you so much for your time. Bye.
Thanks for tuning into TerraQuip Talk. If you enjoyed this episode, the best way to support us is by leaving a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. And don't forget to subscribe on YouTube so you never miss an episode. You can also find out more from me on all social media platforms. The links are below. Until then, remember, if it's not turning, you're not earning.